Bitcoin goes up, everyone is excited. Bitcoin goes down, everyone starts freaking out. Stop letting these small $1,000 price movements in Bitcoin determine your mood. That is not how you trade this market. In today's video, we'll be talking about the current range that we are still in with Bitcoin, and of course, the upcoming news and how I'm currently trading this market. We'll also be talking about Ethereum and what we can potentially expect for some further upside. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. And we start us off as per usual with Bitcoin. As you can see right here, we broke back down after getting another test of the top of this range. So what you can see here is, as I zoom in yesterday's video, we talked about how we were holding the point of control as support. Ultimately very positive, but we popped back up to the top of this range here, right around 119.2K, and came back down. Everyone started freaking out. And before then, with that pump, everyone got excited. As I said in yesterday's video as well, just don't diddle in the middle if you're not a seasoned trader. Right now, this is just simply consolidation. And in my opinion, the longer that Bitcoin consolidates, the better it ultimately will be for its next big move. Now, while Bitcoin is getting these temporary rejections, as you can see once again, we have the rejection all the way up here at 123K, then another one, and of course, once more at the top of this range with yesterday's rejection too. Every single time that these rejections occur, we do see a spike in Bitcoin dominance, which is exactly what I wanted to talk about in today's video. Bitcoin dominance seems to continue to trickle on up. And when we have the breakout, yes, the altcoin market can rise with Bitcoin, but I want Bitcoin to lead the way here. If Bitcoin continues to consolidate in this range and it leads the way, it will ultimately make for a much better altcoin season, as we've been talking about at length. I'm sorry to repeat myself, but nothing has changed. We are still in this range. And as I mentioned in some of my previous videos too, if we were to come back down to these levels, I would continue to add to my Bitcoin longs. The invalidation is starting to get closes below $112,000 because at that point, we would be below the previous all-time high. Keep it very simple, especially if you are a swing trader. Now, if you're a scalper and you like taking advantage of the quick moves in the market, I also have these kinds of trades within my free Telegram community. That is, again, the first link in my description down below. You click here and you also get access to my free premium group. As you can see this morning, we took a scalp short on ApeCoin, made a solid 20% gain, and the rest of the position was locked out at break even. So this is how we trade the market. We have the swing longs, we also have some quick shorts. If you want to play it like that, you do have that link in my description down below. But for Bitcoin, what I'm looking at here is to hopefully get back above this point of control. If we don't, then perhaps we come back down and test this value area low, as we've done several times before. We do have FOMC tomorrow, so you do need to be a little bit cautious with your trading, especially if you're not an experienced trader. But right now, there's nothing to be concerned about. If you're a spot holder, we just continue to consolidate before what I think will be Bitcoin's next big move. And what you want to do in terms of trading, which I think is very, very interesting that I talked about in some of my previous videos, if you want to keep it as simple as possible, is to just trade Monday's range. Typically, Monday's range provides a very good gap for us to trade and make some significant profits. What you can see here is that Monday will typically set that range. We'll have a high, we'll have a low. And then for the rest of the week, if you trade within this range, you can yield some pretty solid returns. For example, today we saw that we started dumping down below Monday's low. Then when we popped back up, this could sometimes be a strong trigger for a long targeting Monday's high. Don't believe me? If we take a look at last week, you can see these dotted lines on the chart. And let me just put these lines out to make it as simple as possible. What you can see here is that Monday's high was right here around 119.6K, and Monday's low was around 116.5K. On the following day, after we set that range on the Tuesday, we came back down, tested Monday's low once more, and then we popped back up to Monday's high. This has happened several times, and so If you just want to trade this range, it's perfectly okay to do so. And if you're looking for a solid exchange to do this, you do have the links in my description down below. The second link brings you directly to Bluffin, where you still have the opportunity to earn $1,000 completely for free as a bonus. That requires you to deposit $7,000 and only contribute to a little bit of trading volume. It's as easy as that, and you get $1,000 completely for free for your futures trading account. And the third link in my description down below brings you to the option of weeks, where you can get some more pretty solid bonuses. And if you sign up with me on weeks, you also get VIP 2 and 25% off all of your trading fees. Just me personally, I like to spread out my funds across all of these exchanges, and I have very good partnerships with them. So you have the links in the description down below if that interests you. But back to the Bitcoin chart. Don't overcomplicate it. We are still at the point of control, but if we were to go lower, I would be adding to my Bitcoin longs. And the next thing I want to show you here is Ethereum on its US dollar valuation. You can see that I marked out the ETH ETF approval and the price action that followed shortly after. We had basically a year of shitty price action, and then we went ahead and got a massive pump. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if we take a look at the spot ETFs, we have Bitcoin, we have ETH, which is really starting to pick up, and we also now have Solana. So as this starts to materialize, it doesn't necessarily mean that Solana will just go on a rampant pump. And as a matter of fact, what I wanted to show you here is that still, as we discussed months ago, Ethereum continues to outperform Solana. A lot of you didn't believe me when I made that video, and you can check it out on the channel if you'd like to. But basically, our base case here was that as Ethereum started bottoming out against Bitcoin, it would likely start to also outperform Solana. And you can see that for the past few months, it has been nothing but outperformance from ETH against Solana. And I still think that ultimately this could be moving lower as Ethereum takes on more market share. This is also why most of the exposure to the altcoin market that I have is in Ethereum, as I've shared with you many times before. And taking a look at a similar chart that I want you to pay attention to that conveys the exact same message, that is your altcoin outperforming Ethereum? You can see that for the most part, others against ETH, complete downtrend. Ethereum is outperforming the majority of the altcoin market. If your altcoin can't outperform Ethereum for a matter of weeks, then it simply isn't worth it. And me personally, I don't play that rotation game, jumping in and out of coins every single day, as so many crypto influencers seem to be masters of. Honestly, stress-free, hold ETH if you want exposure to the altcoin market, and of course, have a strong Bitcoin stack. That's what I've been advocating for on the channel for a while, and if you don't like it, maybe you need to go watch another channel that keeps on pushing altcoins, because that will never be me. Of course, if I start to shift into altcoins, that is the point in time where I will share the exact ones that I'm looking at, but for now, I stay strictly in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and of course, I do like to trade the altcoin market. So, next thing I wanted to show you here, taking a look at the liquidation heat map. Once more, most of the liquidity continues to get piled up on the 1 week time frame right above us, which is why I would be expecting Bitcoin to trickle on up and grab that liquidity before making its next aggressive move. We're in a pretty big range here, so we cannot ignore that. But right now, at the point of control, there's nothing telling us that Bitcoin is not looking strong. This is simply consolidation after making that all-time high. I would not be concerned yet. Now, the levels where I would be concerned is if we start to break below $112,000, and again, we get those daily closes below that level. We do not want to see that for Bitcoin. And taking a look at my news feed as we head into FOMC tomorrow, Senator Cynthia Lummis introduces mortgage reform bill to recognize crypto assets in home loan eligibility assessments. Ultimately very positive, because someone like me that wants to buy a home that has a significant amount of crypto can take advantage of this. Obviously, I don't live in the States, as you probably know by now, but this is still very positive in my opinion. Next thing, we do have eToro to launch tokenized US stocks on the Ethereum blockchain, which is of course contributing to Ethereum's narrative continuing to pick up, as well as its price action. As I said, I think that the bottom for ETH Bitcoin is indeed in. However, if we were to come back lower, it could be a pretty strong opportunity to long the ETH Bitcoin pair on Bluffin, which they allow you to do. This is where I would be making that trade, and I will let you know as soon as it happens. But right now, we are still seeing some continued outperformance from ETH Bitcoin, and this is exactly within the realms of expectations. Next thing I want to show you here, US and China officially agreed to extend the 90-day tariff pause. Again, some more positive news, but how much longer can they go ahead and extend this tariff pause? When will they finally have an agreement? And also, BMNR announces a 1 billion stock repurchase program. In our road to achieving the alchemy of 5% of ETH, there may be times when the best expected return of our capital is to acquire our own shares. Tom Lee, chairman of BitMine. This is very interesting, and it does scream bullish for ETH because they're doing everything in their power to try to hold 5% of Ethereum. And they also disclose that they're currently holding around 625,000 Ethereum. This is insane as more institutions try to pick up Ethereum. On this topic, before I wrap up this quick video, I do want to address something about companies continuing to add crypto to their balance sheet and trying to establish these treasuries. Ultimately, I think that this will be the beginning of the end of this crypto cycle. Now, I know it sounds dramatic, and I shared within my community my thoughts on this today, but just to reiterate, we saw Strategy and Michael Saylor establish their Bitcoin reserve. They keep on accumulating Bitcoin, and we saw many copycats follow suit. For example, Metaplanet, the Japanese company, are also continuing to add Bitcoin to their balance sheets. We're seeing the ETFs, and now we're also seeing that companies are starting to aggressively accumulate Ethereum. Now, how long can this go on? Will we start to transition into Solana, meme coins, so on and so forth, as we get higher up the risk curve? This is entirely likely, and as things get more and more frothy in the crypto market, this could be the beginning of the end. There's going to be some companies here that will go completely belly up, accumulating some of these crypto assets that in a bear market will be nuking 80–90%. So make sure that you're staying vigilant and you're already preparing your exit plan for this cycle. To be perfectly clear, I still think that we have a lot of time left. These next few months could be explosive, and we could be making some insane gains in this market, especially in terms of trading. However, as soon as companies start accumulating the shittiest of tokens, the frothiest of tokens, this is the point in time where you maybe want to consider getting out, because I don't think that this will last much longer into the bear market. Bitcoin, always here to stay in my opinion, even if we have a very severe bear market, but the rest of the crypto assets, not so much. We've seen time and time again where altcoins disappear from cycle to cycle, and then in the next cycle, there's a brand new narrative and a new altcoin dominates. And that sums up today's quick video. Nothing really happened. Don't be too stressed out. Yes, we have FOMC tomorrow, but I want to see how the price action develops in this range. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.